So this video is designed to support a session I present called Building and Automating Serverless Autoscaling Data Pipelines in AWS. Now, I only get a couple of minutes during that session for the demo, so usually I'll start the demo partway through the creative process. This means that my session doesn't overrun, but unfortunately also means that the audience don't get a full picture of what's involved. So here, I want to take the time to run through the entire process of setting up the data pipeline. Now, let's open the AWS console and get started.
This is what I'm aiming to produce today. So a step function state machine with 4 stages, got the Lambda being invoked, then the glue crawler gets started, and we've got 2 Athena queries running. One of them is going to drop a derived table, and then the other one's going to recreate it with information after it's been updated by the crawler. Okay, so here we are in the AWS console. Now, this console is for a temporary AWS account. It's completely separate from the one that I use in the actual session. So it means that everything's going to be completely fresh. Now, because this isn't the same account, the one I use in the session makes calls to the WordPress API and didn't want to put those credentials over to this account in the name of security. So it's not going to be an exact like for how the account works in the demo, but I've set a few things up so that it will effectively work in the same way. So go to S3 first, a number of buckets here, and one in particular, the source API. So this is going to masquerade as the WordPress API. Just go in there. So we've got 2 potential calls. We've got posts and terms, and then inside each of those, got a JSON object that simulates the data in the API. But then briefly go over to the Lambda function. So this Lambda function will, instead of getting the data from the WordPress API, we'll get it from the source S3 bucket. It's then going to do some transformations, and it's then going to create new objects in the Data Lake Bronze bucket, which is just here. And inside that, it's going to create 2 objects in the Parquet format, which we'll then use for the glue part. Okay, so next, let's set up the glue crawler. So this is the glue console. If I just scroll down, and then I want to select crawlers, which is just here. Go there, and then create a new crawler. So just need a new name, so something like WordPress bronze description, that. So is it already mapped? So this is a completely new account, so nothing's mapped yet. And then we want to add a data source. So data source is S3. Don't need a network connection. It is in this account. And then for browse S3, like bronze, there we go. So that one. For all our subfolders. So what's happening here? I'm telling the crawler that it's going to be looking at everything in this bucket. So this goes back to the bronze bucket here that contains the Parquet objects. And then it's going to crawl all the subfolders. So go in there. There's 2 folders here. Posts, terms like before. I'm going to crawl all of those. And that's it. So add that. And next, create a new IAM role and call it gal. Don't need any of that. Okay, so target database. So we don't have any databases there currently, so I'll add one now. Just be a second. Effectively, the database in this context is going to be how Glue logically groups these tables. So we just go back here for a second. So posts is going to be a table and terms is going to be a table. So WordPress was always going to be the name of the database, but it's just to put a bit of context on there. You're going to have WordPress database, and then inside that, going to have posts and terms as tables. Okay, just need to go. Okay, so now got a WordPress database. Just refresh that and select it from the list. So I just spoke about tables. This is an optional column, but I am going to add something in for this. This is helpful for when you've got more and more tables that are coming in as part of the same database. This can be how you differentiate between them. So I'm going to put bronze in here, bronze hyphen. So then when the tables are created, it's going to be bronze hyphen posts, bronze hyphen terms. When you're in a position when you've got other tables going in, so that could be things like silver tables, gold tables, this is going to help indicate what part of the pipeline's process that table belongs to. Because they will change. You'll have data cleansing, you'll have aggregations, and the tables will differ. So if they're all called posts, you're not going to know which one belongs to which stage of the journey. Okay, I'm going to do it on demand because rather than set the crawler schedule, it's actually going to be scheduled by the step function. So I'm going to leave that on demand. There are various choices, but I'm not going to use any of them. Okay, and then the summary. So got the name of the crawler, where it's crawling, the security settings, and then just create that. Okay, and then let's run the crawler. Okay, we can see it running down here. So say ongoing status there. Let's wait for it to finish. First runs usually take about a minute and a half, depending on how much data's there. Okay, while we wait, just have a look through. So these tabs show what the settings for the crawler are, just in case, because this way you don't have to go back in and edit the settings. You can see what they've got. Okay, classifiers can help if you need to define additional characteristics of the data, but that won't be needing that here. Okay, so there we go. So we can see a few things here. Status is complete and it's run for a minute. We've also got 2 table changes and 0 partition changes. So this becomes relevant as the data changes. When we say 2 table changes, I'll now go over to the tables here. Now see that there's 2 tables where there weren't any before. So we already know about the database. Just go in the database for a second. It's here. And can select the database and it'll show the tables. Or we can just go straight to the tables where we were before. You can see the information's the same. So we've got each of these. Go in and view the metadata behind the scenes. So in this table, okay, so we can see things like last updated, the classification of file, and then if we scroll down, we can also see what schema it's derived from that data. So this is all consistent with the WordPress posts table. Also got partitions, which I don't have any, indexes that I've not defined any so far, and this is all empty for the minute because this is all completely new. Okay, you can also see the location, and if we go across, you can see view data quality. There shouldn't be anything there at the moment either, because again, this is a new account. Okay, and you just wait for that. So yeah, so getting started here. There's nothing been defined so far. And then can also view the table data. Now, this is going to take us to Athena. If I select that, get a prompt about charges, which is fine. So just proceed. And you can see, at least you will be able to see, it's loading Athena. Clear up a bit here. Okay, now this probably won't work actually because this is a new account. Athena doesn't know where to save its results yet. So okay, all I'm doing now, Athena needs to know where it can save its results, and because this is a new account, I haven't set that yet, so I'll just do this now. So if we just select that and choose back to the editor. So this query should now run. Okay, and there we go. So a little bit on what just happened. So for Athena to show this, it needs somewhere where it can store data while it's working on it. And what you only have to do this once at first setup is just tell Athena an S3 location it can use to store various parts of its processing. So if I just go into that bucket now, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so you can see unsaved, and then date, time. Got a bunch of stuff here. So the metadata, CSV, just all the backend information it used. Okay, and this is the same information that's from the Parquet file. And you can see if we go across, it's all there. You can also see the tables here. These are from Glue, but they are now queryable in Athena. So if I want to say preview the terms table, generate a query, and you can see the information's now changed, and this is relating to information from that file instead. Okay, so now that I've built all the resources that I'll be needing for the step function, I'll actually build it. So go into state machines, create a new state machine. And I'm going to be offered templates. I'm not going to be needing one for this. Okay, just get rid of that, make some space. So, see a couple of things here. On the left, got the list of tasks that I can call. In the middle, I've got the graph, the state machine. And then on the right, this is going to change depending on what I've selected. For now, it's just showing defaults for the workflow itself. So when I start the demo, this has usually got a few things on it already. So it's got some of the resources that I'll build on the tail end of this. But now I'm going to start with the Lambda function itself. So drag the Lambda in, and then scroll down and select there we go, select API get data. Okay, now in the demo, I turn off one of the output parameters, and I'm going to do the same here. Some lambdas will produce either an event ID or something along those lines that then gets passed to the next task or action in the flow. I don't have that here because it's literally just transforming file types and moving them to a separate bucket. So I'm going to deactivate that here. The next thing, going to need the glue crawler, so select that. Somewhere on this list. Okay, there we go, start crawler. So I'll drag that on. Now, this works in the same way as if you're using the SDK. So all I need is just the name of the crawler to invoke. So just grab that from the Glue console, substitute that here. Okay, so now let's set up the Athena side of the state machine. So in the demo, it uses a derived table. So a derived table is effectively taking tables that are already in the database, or in this case, in the Glue data catalog, and then using those to make new tables rather than modifying the tables that are there. So it helps maintain your data lineage, and it just means that if anything does go wrong, then you can make changes to the derived table and leave the original table in its original state. So just need, from Athena, just need 2 query executions. I'll do one at a time. So if you just scroll down to this one, so need some API parameters. So save a bit of time with this. So what this is doing, I'm going to have a new table called posts limited, and it's going to drop the table if it exists. Now, if exists means that if the table's not there, this is not going to throw an error. If it does exist, it'll be dropped, and if it doesn't exist, there'll be no problems. The other one, be a little more involved. Be a second. Okay, so this is going to create my derived table. It's create table script in the WordPress database. Just here, new table called post limited, specifying the format, and then it's not doing anything fantastic particularly, so it's selecting everything from the posts table and returning the first 10 results. So just so it returns something, basically. Okay, and that's everything for that. So now, if I try and create, this should fail. There we go. So immediately we need to talk about IAM. Okay, so let's get this IAM role sorted out. Okay, so you can see that most of this is fine, but I will need to make changes to Glue, otherwise it won't be able to start the crawler. So just get that. Keep on to this, because I'll need this shortly. And then click confirm. Okay, so it has now created the state machine, but as discussed, it will fail. I mean, it should fail. Let's find out. If I start the execution now, let's start it straight away. Okay, and scroll down. So blue means that it's running, so the lambda's running. And then it should fail here at the start crawler. Okay, there we go. So here we go, it's started, and then the task failed. So I already know this is down to the IAM permissions issue. If we go on cause, here we go. So the user is not permitted to perform glue start crawler on resource. So let's grab this resource. So I'll need that. Okay, and then go back into the state machine. Edit. Oh, hold on, it didn't need edit. IAM policies there. Okay, now I open this in a new window. Okay, and then just find the best policy for it. So I think in the interest of time, we'll add it to this one. Okay, and then go to visual, make life a bit easier. So add more permissions, select service. We want glue. And then I want to start the crawler. And got the crawler ARN from before. Okay, and next. So in the real world, I would be creating a separate policy just to keep everything ring fenced. But this is a toy example anyway. Okay, so now go back to this and run it. And now running the step function. Okay, just waiting on the Lambda. Let's see if it works this time. Okay, there we go. So you can see as soon as the Lambda finished, everything else was very fast. So you can see the log results here. It's done the Lambda. It started the crawler, ran the first Athena query, and then ran the second one. And that's the end of the extended demo. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.